Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Khalil Doheny. I'm head of content on DNA. Today, we have the team of Motobyo. Team, how are you guys doing today?
Doing great, Khalil.
Yep,
Awesome.
doing great.
And while people are coming on in, do you guys want to just kind of quickly give a quick background of your guys' selves and what we can really expect from today's webinar?
Sure. You want me to
Kick it off.
start? So I'm George Lekis. I'm a co-founder here and COO at Motobyo. My background is all automotive industry. I've worked in the auto industry since a teenager, basically. Ran a couple of dealerships, both retail and wholesale, before developing pricing algorithms and pricing tools to help private party consumers buy and sell their cars a little bit better. And that's kind of where the basis of Motobyo started. So my background's all auto.
And I'm Ron Averett, the president and CEO. The first part of my career was largely in larger corporate, senior level positions. And then the last half of my career, I worked for or ran small private equity or venture-backed firms, managed through a couple of exits, acquisitions, et cetera, generally generating value, scaling companies, et cetera, et cetera. So, and I think, to answer your specific question, what to expect today, we're going to give an update on how the company has performed thus far through the first half of the year, kind of where that's pointing us the remainder of the year, what our priorities are, and how all that really ties together as it relates to the capital raise that we have underway, and why we think this is not only a great company to support, but a great value opportunity over the next several years.
Awesome. And for those who are attending today's webinar, if you have a question throughout the webinar, please leave them in the Q&A chat box. We'll leave some time towards the end and throughout the webinar to get those questions answered. With that being said, I'm going to pass the mic back to you guys. I know you guys wanted to go through the site and kind of give us a demo of what we're working with today.
Yeah, absolutely. Khalil, we've gotten a bunch of questions from potential investors. Yeah. Figure a quick walkthrough of the website and just 2 quick minutes to tell you a little bit about the capabilities would kind of go a long way in answering a lot of their questions and maybe some folks that are on today. Mm-hmm. First, I think I'll pass it to Ron. Let's get an update and then we can go through that.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought the place to start in the conversation is just what we've done through the course of the second quarter and how that sort of, for the first half of the year, how the company has evolved. It was a really busy, productive quarter for the company. There are probably 2 or 3 major items that I would point out in terms of areas of progress. We continue to drive up all of our key performance indicators, increasing the number of leads that we're generating, increasing the number of account signups that we're generating, and specifically seeing a really nice increase in the amount of inventory that we have on the site. I think as a kind of a subcategory of that, not only are we increasing signups, but we supporting a national marketing test that we started about 90 days ago. At this point, I think we've had about 1,000 account signups across 48 states, which has actually impacted the inventory that's on the site because I think we're roughly at 160 to 170 cars on the site right now that are representing about 38 or 39 states. So generally, we're driving all of our metrics up and to the right, but I think more importantly is we've made a lot of progress both in terms of our effectiveness and efficiency. A couple of things that I'd mention there. Our coming into the year, our cost per clicks were roughly in the $9 to $10 range. And over the course of the last 60 days, we've cut that in half down to about $4, 50 cents, give or take, based on, testing and tweaking that we're doing. So we've made some real progress in our cost effectiveness. And coming into the year, our conversion rate from leads to signups was about 10%. That's a statistic that we were really focused on and really looking to drive up through the course of the quarter. We've been working really hard with our digital team to tweak our testing, our targeting, and our messaging. And we very specifically had a 4-month engagement with a conversion rate optimization firm called Invest. We're just actually coming to the end of that engagement right now. And during that engagement, really challenged ourselves across the website, literally challenging every page, all of our processing, and testing a lot of different messaging on the site. And as a result of that, we've taken our conversion rates up from the 10% range that we started the year at. And as we end June, we're well over 30%. And in fact, we're now hitting days where we're almost at 40%. So we're driving volume up. We're doing it more efficiently. We're making a lot of progress there. I would also say, as a technology company, we are constantly releasing minor and major enhancements to the website. But we had one major technology initiative through the quarter, which was substantial. We partnered with JD Power to use their data to slightly retool our pricing process. The impact of that was really twofold. It dramatically improved the consumer-facing process, making it simpler and more straightforward for consumers to get their price, their values from the Motobyo pricing engine. The other thing that it allowed us to do is using their, again, data, regional data algorithms. It allowed us to focus on certain markets that we were leveraging across the country as we've been getting feedback, account sign-up feedback. And at this point, we've beyond the Philadelphia DMA, where we have about 30 buying centers. We've added additional buying centers in Rochester, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Birmingham, and the Baltimore, DC area. So two dramatic impacts related to both the way the consumer experiences the website and getting values, which George is going to talk about later, and also supporting our expansion initiatives. And the final major component of progress, as we've been building our seller inventory, as I mentioned earlier, about 160 to 170 cars on the site now, as we've begun to get to critical mass, we've expanded our digital marketing efforts to now begin to target buyers. We had not been doing that up until a couple of weeks ago, so that's something that we've just expanded into. And the impact has been really interesting. It's driving up web traffic dramatically. It's driving up the number of new visitors. It's driving up the engagement with the website. And that really leads to, as we think about how we point to the last half of the year, supporting our three major priorities. Continuing to build seller inventory, adding more cars to the site, and very specifically, fine-tuning our matchmaking skills, connecting sellers and buyers. It's really sort of the next validation point, I think, for the business. And then finally, we'll be focused on looking at where we expand our marketing efforts in other auto-related markets outside of the Philly DMA that may include specializing in a couple of the cities that I mentioned, like Pittsburgh or Birmingham or the DC, Baltimore area, or based on the kinds of results that we're getting right now as we look at account signups across the country, perhaps we'll also focus on in areas like Ohio, Southern California, the I-25 corridor in Colorado between Fort Collins and Colorado Springs. So more sellers, matchmaking sellers and buyers together, and looking at expansion opportunities for the remainder of the year.
Awesome. Thank you for that update. But we do have a question here on the investment side for an update. Followed your raise on net capital. What made you switch to solely targeting accredited investors?
Because, well, actually, it's interesting. So the net capital experience, I think, accomplished what we were looking to accomplish in terms of like broad brand exposure. And actually, I don't think it's not a coincidence that as we went through the initial outreach for with net capital, that we saw web traffic go up, we saw account signups go up. I think there was an overlay to that, so we're happy about that. But in reality, what happened through the marketing and targeting is that we were ending up with more accredited investors anyway, and which, quite frankly, is a good thing. It supports what we were looking to accomplish and where we thought we would really end up, more broadly speaking, So in the end, it was a net positive for us.
Awesome. And then George, I have a question here. How easy is it for a prospective seller to receive an accurate offer for their vehicle?
Well, let's show you. I think that's actually one of the ones, interestingly enough, that we get from people kind of regularly from prospective investors. So let me just see if I can get this stuff out of the way. So, on our homepage, we've got pricing tools here as well. But most people, when you're out there doing a search on to sell your vehicle, you're going to end up on a page similar to this with pricing tool on here. Got some company information, video of our most handsome guys that we've got around here, and then a way to price your vehicle. And looks like so I've got a Honda in here. You could start with your license plate, your VIN, or just year, make, and model. Get to the next step. We verify our zip code, email address, and then we get to a value. And again, we've got some handsome guys that work here for the company. Videos on here. But that's really it. Basically, you're describing the vehicle, the year, make, model, style. Our VIN decoder takes a look at market trends, gives you a value based on that, whether you wanted to sell your vehicle for cash today and take it to a partner buying center. Like Ron said, we've got 30 and some change here in the Philadelphia DMA, which is Philadelphia, Southern Jersey, Northern Delaware. And then we've got them obviously outside the area, or you can list it online. Our online listing, we've got a couple different styles of those, which you could then, proceed through and list it within a couple of minutes. So that's how fast. It's about a 4-second process to get a real price on your car.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think one of the other things, Khalil, you may even have this question there. Yeah. Is, when a customer does decide to list their vehicle for sale on the website, so our partnerships, we've got a national partnership with Firestone to provide us with pre-sale inspection reports. That's for any customer anywhere, in the country that's looking to sell their vehicle. We also have Midas and Meineke on board that fill in the gaps. They do a lot of Philadelphia area stuff, but they fill in gaps across the country where Firestone has about 3,000 or 2,500 partner locations, but they may not have them all. But either way, when that inspection report gets done by somebody who's looking to sell their vehicle, that report goes live right here online on the listing itself to help build trust and build value in the vehicle, so that a prospective buyer or prospective buyers that are just researching, or could be in any phase really of the purchase process, whether they are just starting or they're in the end phases of making a purchase, can take a look at a real technician's notes, photos from the technician if they decide to upload them. But most importantly, it gives them an estimate that's valid nationwide for any repairs that the vehicle needs today. So you know exactly what you're looking at. In addition to this basic little snapshot right here, we could get to a real condition report and everything down to, check the vehicle over thoroughly, but tire specs and brake specs, exactly what the vehicle needs today, along with a repair order number that can be tracked nationally. And that just allows a customer, for instance, somebody looking at this vehicle, where did I lose it here? This vehicle that's here in the Pennsylvania area, you buy it in Florida, you know exactly what it's going to cost you. Suppose it needed front brakes and something else, you know exactly what it's going to cost to get it 100% roadworthy for you. In addition to that, another one of the questions that pops up regularly is about warranting a vehicle like this, or how do I get an extended service contract for a pre-owned vehicle that I'm buying from a private party seller. Well, once an inspection has been completed on a vehicle, the warranty pricing actually goes live on here. So this car that we're looking at is a 2016 with 60,000 miles, and we've got a couple different levels of coverage here and real live pricing for this specific vehicle. What does it cost you to warranty it? Including a basic coverage if you want to get something more of a powertrain type of coverage to cover you till you get it home. Suppose you're buying this long distance, having it shipped home. You at least have an opportunity for your own technician to go through it if you'd like. And then in addition to that, one other question is about those extended warranty products is, can I get information on that? Like, what does each one cover? What does each plan really entail? And that's all available right there on the How It Works section on the website. So in real time, whether you're shopping, at midnight or during normal business hours, you could find a condition report on a vehicle by an independent third-party technician, by a brand that you know. And then you can also shop for extended warranty products to cover the vehicle. And warranty products, really, that's not an off-the-shelf type of product. These are products that add real value to the owner or prospective owner of a vehicle. Products that we've had crafted specifically for Motobyo customers. So those are three of our, I would say, maybe our top three most asked questions by prospective investors, people that are checking out the website and really wondering, like, what separates you, and what are a couple of the solutions that separates Motobyo, from possibly somebody else.
Yeah, and that was actually going to be my next question, is what does set you apart from your competitors?
Well, I could tell you this from my dealership background, Khalil, is I bought a lot of vehicles from private sellers or prospective private sellers of vehicles that failed to do it on their own. Failed to do it. Basically, a lot of this is the basis for why I sold my dealership to raise capital and build this company. People failed for reasons that are really easy for a dealership to get over. Things that are kind of wrapped around building trust, and so the shopper of the vehicle understands what the quality of the vehicle is, and that not only do we do that with extended warranty and being able to protect yourself with 50-state DMV services, so we can handle the paperwork, and an escrow service so we can handle the money. So if you don't want to, if you've got a vehicle to sell and you don't have the title to the vehicle, you've still got a loan on it, you can still sell it on Motobyo. Our payment protection services will take care of the payoff on it and deliver the title to the buyer of the car. No money changes hands between those two. It all goes through Motobyo. So there was about 10 or 12, basic, I would say, roadblocks that a private party seller encounters when trying to sell their car. And those are the building blocks and what we really started Motobyo with, eliminating those.
Yeah, I would add to that, kind of at an overarching level. The way I look at it is the way that we've designed the business model as an asset-free model, never taking possession of the car, doing this matchmaking, as I alluded to earlier. We really are an advocate for the consumer. We're focused on the right price, not the price in terms of how it affects us. So our interest is in accomplishing the consumer's goals, whether that's selling the car fast, doing it in an easy way, or potentially maximizing their sale. And then we provide all of these tools on the buying side to help buyers complete the transaction. I think it's our advocacy role that really differentiates us from most of the competition. And one other sort of overlay to that, because there's a phenomenal amount of flexibility in this business model. It's the reason why we created the partner network that we did, where we can leverage those partners to actually rapidly expand across the country. If you just think about, we're just in our infancy right now, but yet we've already got, more than 1,000 account signups across the country. So imagine as we start building more scale and more traction and focusing very specifically on the biggest auto markets, what kind of impact we can have. And when I think about the business at a high level, I think about it in this way. Ultimately at scale, we'll be compared pretty attractively to the CarMaxes and the Carvanas. But on the other hand, because of our pricing capability, which as more people get exposure to, will also be, in the same conversation with a KBB, given, the power of our tool. And at some point, as we expand the kind of inventory that we bring onto the site, because we're going to always focus on, this mainstream customer, but we have an auction platform that we can leverage, and we can expand and we can bring on additional inventory and at least be in the conversation with companies like Bring a Trailer and Cars and Bids. That's a lot of flexibility in one business model.
Yeah. I feel like all of your responses are just leading to my next questions. Mark asks, tell us about that flexibility. How do you respond to the upswings or downturns in the used market?
Well, I think that's easy for us because we're not buying and selling cars. That's the coming from the dealership world, that's one of the biggest positives of this model is that, we don't set the market for any vehicle, right? We're responding to how the ups and downs of the market. Other folks own these vehicles. So, what we're doing is, we're helping people buy them and helping people get them bought for the right price, helping people sell them and get them bought.
Yeah, we don't have, because of the asset-free model, we don't have pricing risk, interest rate risk. We don't have the infrastructure cost associated with that. I think that's certainly that's one of the things that makes us different for sure.
Well, and that Ron started on it a couple of minutes ago about scalability. That's one of the biggest keys. And really, when we were sitting down, when Motobyo was a concept on a napkin, a couple of years ago, one of our biggest things is, as a dealer, selfishly, I want to figure out a way to be able to buy more cars and sell more cars, but that doesn't scale, right? I can't buy dealership groups and add dealerships in every market, but we can do that with Motobyo. We can do that with a small team right here in Horsham, Pennsylvania. And we've got partner networks set up nationally that allow us to expand we can be in other major markets in 30 days or less. So pretty huge, ability for us to expand nationally quickly.
Yeah, I think there's another underlying sort of aspect as it relates to the the industry and the industry trends and how things ebb and flow. Generally speaking, it's a pretty consistent industry in terms of total amount of used cars bought and sold each year. And generally, the more difficult the times, the more important used cars are, and actually the better those times. But I would probably describe it this way. It's a highly fragmented market. The top 100 used car dealers in the country represent 10% of the overall industry's market share. When we were building our financial models and thinking about not only how we grow the business in the Philadelphia market, but then expand into other markets, Atlanta, Charlotte, Orlando, Dallas, Fort Worth, et cetera, et cetera. When you get underneath our financial assumptions, we can drive significant volume growth across multiple auto markets with 25 and 50 and 75 basis point market share results. I mean, so we're not a software company where we need to have 20 or 25% market share to be relevant. We can, if we had a 1% market share today, we would be flying helicopters when we leave the office. That's the difference. So, there a lot of volume, and even though there is a lot of competition, one of the things that has impressed me about the way we've kicked off the market or kicked off the company is that we are connecting to sellers, and now we're bringing them at more a critical mass.
Awesome. And besides JD Power, do you guys have any notable partnerships?
Oh, sure. Midas, Meineke, Firestone on the car inspection side. We use Credible as our auto lending partner. Our insurance partner is the Zebra. We're using UShip as our vehicle transport. We have a relationship with a company called Assertus to support our DMV, 50-state title and registration DMV services. Who am I missing?
Probably a bunch. I mean, there's a ton that really go into building tech that are kind of not publicly, not public facing. But yeah, I would say that our major ones that really other than standard business partners that help with marketing and things like that, Firestone being national, Midas, Meineke, I think are our biggest and most important. Yeah.
And we have a question around, are you thinking of doing another campaign for non-accredited investors like myself to be able to participate in them?
Non-accredited investors. Actually, we did talk about that, and that is probably a possibility downstream. We haven't, again, we have a great relationship with Net Capital. We were not upset in making the change that we made. There was not disdain or disgust. It was a strategic decision because the accredited side of this sort of just fit together based on what we were also doing internally. But we like the Net Capital guys a lot. We like the platform a lot. And we, in fact, did talk to them about, downstream and not later this year, but as part of this process, the fact that we would likely come back to them.
Yeah, we've gotten a bunch of emails from customers that were, from people that were looking to possibly invest in a smaller amount, and people have reached out to us. We've got a list of folks that to reach back out to. So potential investor that's online, you could shoot us an email, just george@motobyo.com, and definitely reach back out to you. So the answer is yes.
And then are there any other verticals you guys are planning on expanding to?
Funny you ask. Yeah, so we've got, Motobyo, this, the ecosystem that we're creating here around this. I think realistically what we're doing and what we've been talking about for a business is 10% of what this business is eventually going to turn into. We've got new stuff launching kind of regularly. Ron, are we going to announce this product store?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
All right, so I don't want to let the cat
out. No. I'm excited.
So, coming soon, Khalil, is going to be a product store where every kind of service and product that we offer right now to customers on the website, people that are buying and selling vehicles through Motobyo, are going to be available for the private, for public, citizens to come. Suppose your lease is up and you decide to keep your vehicle instead of selling it. You need to buy an extended warranty for it, or you bought a car from your neighbor, you need some DMV services, or you bought a car from across the country some other way from a friend or some other way. You need it shipped home, transport services, and kind of like what we expect that store to really grow into. It may start with a dozen core products that Motobyo offers today, and little by little that will become a one-stop shop really for everything automotive, from parts and repairs and manuals and how-tos and all the other things that you need for vehicle general ownership, from the time that it becomes a used car to the time that it needs to be recycled, and everything in between. So yeah, that's coming soon. Next year there'll be, or possibly even late this year, there's going to be our Insights tab, which we've been working on. Basically a data center for everything to do with a pre-owned vehicle, anything that has a VIN number from 1981 forward, 256 data points about each vehicle to allow real in-depth comparison. I'm talking about from professional automotive journalist reviews to insights and reviews from real vehicle owners, people who've bought them and sold them and driven them. And like I said, 256 data points per vehicle. So if you want to search vehicles by the size of their trunk or their fuel capacity or fuel economy, things like that, that data center will be coming soon.
Yeah, I think, and I alluded to this earlier, and I think we have to be careful. We've got to, stay focused on our priorities. And right now, the key priority is matchmaking sellers and buyers, more sellers and matchmaking sellers and buyers. But again, the flexibility of the platform is pretty obvious when you realize what we could do with the auction platform and what kind of additional inventory we could bring, specialty cars, exotics, whatever. We don't have to be the biggest in that particular genre of cars, but we certainly can be relevant. I think I'd like to say that that's something that we'd have on our radar screen for the remainder of the year, but I think we're going to really be very busy perfecting our matchmaking model. But I think going into next year, there'll be two overarching priorities. One is how we expand across the country, and two, how do we manipulate the platform and potentially bring on additional kinds of vehicle inventory.
Awesome.
Well, we did have a 1930 Ford Model A listed on the site today, so we can do classics. Not that we've specifically gone out there looking for that, but if you know anybody looking, buddy, you know where to find it.
I'll send a tweet out and see if anyone's. uh, Awesome. We do have a little bit more time here. I do see one more question coming in. So if you do have a question, for the webinar, where both George and Ron, please ask it right now. Looking at your business model, I'm seeing that Motobyo cuts out the car dealership in their transactions. Why is this important?
Well, I'll tell you this. As a previous car dealer, and dealership life is in my blood, and I believe there's a place for dealers and a valuable service that they perform. Right? We're not the whole point of Motobyo is not really to cut out a dealer. First of all, we're partnered with a lot of dealerships. Right? Dealerships serve a major purpose in the Motobyo ecosystem as basically the backstop for a vehicle. Dealers have checks, they write checks, they buy cars, they sell them. That's their business. So we rely on many of our dealer relationships to purchase vehicles from customers right now that don't want to spend the time to sell their car, or don't have the time to sell their own vehicle, or just don't want to deal with it. They've tried it in the past, and in the past it's been a pain in the butt, so they don't do it. Right? So we need a dealer to write a check for that car. So we're partnered with many dealerships that serve a very important purpose for us. We're big fans of dealerships. In the vehicle transaction, though, when a private party interacts and finds a private party buyer, when a seller finds a buyer, which is what we're doing for folks, you're basically you're eliminating waste that's in just the standard day-to-day vehicle dealership, the wholesale ecosystem. A lot of people don't understand what happens with their trade-in when they trade it into a dealership that doesn't want the car. Well, what happens to it, right? Well, that dealership has to do something with it. They wrote you a check or traded in your vehicle, and now they have to be rid of it because it's just a burden to that store now that doesn't want it. So what do? They either are going to clean that. They usually get it inspected by their own technicians. They get it detailed and cleaned. They get it transported to an auction facility who photographs the car for them. They charge them a registration fee. If it does sell that first week or so, they charge them another registration fee, possibly a seller's fee for the car. They charge the buyer of the car a buyer's fee. Then that buyer of the car is another dealership who hauls it home, who re-inspects it, re-cleans it, reconditions it, sells it, and then needs to mark it up to pay their employees, pay their bills. Right? That's what they do. So in all of that waste right there, you could eliminate those 42 steps and sell a vehicle, get it from the source, right from the tap, from the mountain stream, from the seller's driveway right to the buyer of the vehicle. Eliminates all of those steps, and basically the waste in an antiquated wholesale system is all that it does. In the meantime, you eliminate all of those fees and all of that. Everybody's in the system is making money somewhere. And it saves customers in studies that we've done. First of all, it gets the seller of the car an extra couple $1,000, and it saves the buyer of the car an extra, a couple $1,000. And if you can save everybody in the ecosystem there $4,000 or so in a transaction, it's a big deal. And $2,000 extra for a pre-owned car might not seem like a lot to some accredited investors that are on this phone call today. But if you were driving a car that's a $12,000 or a $14,000 car, you can get an extra 15-20% for it. That's a big number. And we found, obviously, we've polled a lot of our customers, and many of them like more money. Right? That's been almost 100%.
Awesome. Well, I'm not seeing any more questions coming in. Don't want to hold it off. So Motobyo is currently raising funds on Fundable. They are looking for accredited investors. I am adding the link here in the chat box below. So if you wanted to get some more information, check out that link. This webinar has been recorded the whole time. So if you weren't able to attend the webinar or just want to rewatch it, we will be sending out a whole recap around the webinar. George, Ron, is there anything you want to leave the audience with today?
No, I think I would just sum it up maybe the way I started. We've had a really busy, productive, successful first half of the year in terms of making strides against, critical and key initiatives. It really positions us well for the remainder of the year. We're going to be really focused on, building, seller inventory and matchmaking sellers and buyers, and thinking about how we support our expansion plans for the remainder of the year and going into next year. But based on the results that we're getting right now, we feel really comfortable about the direction of the company, the growth opportunity of the company, how relevant we are, and what continues to encourage me about this business, which is what I thought all along when George and I first started working together, is we are learning so much, and we're moving at a pace where we're just absorbing all this learning and taking that learning and translating it into the website. As George just actually a second ago, as he was talking about positioning so that sellers can get more and buyers can save money, we tend to talk a lot about that, but I suspect, at least I hypothesize, that over the course of the next year or two, we're also going to find that the Motobyo platform not only is a platform of advocacy, but it provides like a low stress, low anxiety way to buy and sell cars. I think there is a positioning that we can have that would also pretty significantly differentiate us. Those are the kinds of things that excite me about this business.
Awesome. One last question is, what can we do, to help out other than invest, of course?
Well,
buy and sell thousands of cars.
Yeah.
There we go.
But even the cars that you need, put them on a website and sell.
Spread the word. Spread the word. And in fact, again, that just really, actually, it's a really, I'm glad to get that question, because again, our progress is basically guerrilla warfare right now. Like, there's a lot of, all of our, outreach is digital, Google ads and Facebook ads, and we're reaching out to people. But as we start creating success, as I think most people would understand, success does in fact breed success. I think this is a business made of viral moments, and there's just viral gold in consumers having success, whether it's because they were able to sell a car quickly, or we were able to help them, or they got more, whatever that may be. And that's, again, one of the other values or one of the other advantages of this entire Motobyo ecosystem. Sellers win, buyers win, and our partners win. I mean, it's a winning proposition for everybody that's in the system. And in fact, I mean, it's probably been a year or so. George and I had a conversation with a potential investor who said, well, who loses? And I quickly responded, anyone that's not in the ecosystem. I think that's one of the things that, again, continues to make us unique.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen, for today's webinar. Thank you, everyone who attended today's webinar. Again, be on the lookout for that webinar recap. And stay up to date. Reach out to the Motobyo team directly if you have any other questions. Hope everyone has a good day.
Sounds great. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thanks. Thanks, Khalil.
Thanks.
Bye.